Hello, everyone. We welcome you to our Sunday morning roundtable discussion. Today is Sunday, December 16th, 2018. We're recording from the Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent, Plainfield, New Jersey, the United States of America. And we're so glad you could join us today. We will start with our morning prayer.
This is Mrs. Eddy from Miscellany, page 220. Each day I pray for the pacification of all national difficulties, for the brotherhood of man, for the end of idolatry and infidelity, and for the growth and establishment of Christian religion, Christ Christianity. I also have faith that my prayer availeth, and that he who is overturning will overturn until he whose right it is shall reign. Each day I pray, God bless my enemies, make them thy friends, give them to know the joy and the peace of love.
Thank you. And Mary Baker Eddy, Miscellaneous Writings. We today in this classroom are enough to convert the world if we are of one mind. For then the whole world will feel the influence of this mind, as when the earth was without form, and mind spake, and form appeared. So we will start this morning with our watching point.
Watch number 102. Watch that you turn every untoward circumstance and experience to your spiritual advantage. Mrs. Eddy instructed her students to declare, when they were attacked by error, quote, I am the better for this experience. It is doing me good, lifting me higher, and strengthening my understanding, end quote. Once, when she experienced something on her drive that shocked her, she said, quote, know that a shock only makes us go higher. Now let us know when mortal mind shocks us, we can use it to go up higher, and so know it cannot catch us there, end quote. And that's the end.
Thank you. Very important point. Any comments about it?
It just reminded me of what's been said here about demanding the blessing.
Yes. You see, you turn the situation around. If you're having any kind of a trouble and you say, oh no, it's terrible how this happened, and you're just going right into it. But if you declare this is going to be a great blessing, you are being a law unto yourself. You are obeying Christian Scientists be a law unto yourself that mental malpractice cannot harm you either when asleep or when awake. And your thought, your right, correct thought will manifest itself, and that the experience will be a blessing. You will have gone up higher.
And the fact is that there is a blessing in every experience. I mean, there isn't any experience that can drag you out of the love of God.
The reason you're having the experience is so you will learn a great lesson from it. If you accept it that way, you can actually rejoice in it.
I mean, it's actually quite encouraging to know that there isn't anything that can really get you if you don't let it.
But the human mind says you go from problem to problem. But science says what?
Glory to glory.
Glory to glory. And
I think it's also...
Well, all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. All things, not some things, everything. Go ahead.
I think also to look at it that way, no, this can only make me go higher. I know that the truth is there, and this is the lie about it, and it's very encouraging. You know, you turn on the lie, you see it immediately as, you know, this is not the truth. God is here. And I think it's wonderful to keep that thought to everything that comes that's not right. Immediately, this can help me. It means I know that it's the truth that's real here.
Yes, that's all that's true. And in truth, nothing has ever happened. Jeffrey, will you read in Science and Health, citation 11, please?
Every trial of our faith in God makes us stronger. More difficult seems the material condition to be overcome by spirit. Stronger should be our faith, and pure our love.
So there we have it again, said in a different way, but every trial makes us stronger if we accept it as that. And it will be a great blessing. So, thank you, Jeffrey. And these watching points, they come from a book called Watching Points, 500 Watching Points by Carpenter. You can find it on our website. We don't usually announce that because I think everyone knows it, but in case people don't know it. Carpenter, 500 Watching Points. And Ray from Florida very kindly posts one every week that we can study and work with. It's an amazing book. What Carpenter wrote is amazing. When I first got that book, and I remember it, I couldn't put it down. But there's so much in it, in each watching point, you have to put it down. You can only read a little bit at a time. Wonderful. Okay, the golden text. Psalm 31, and the subject, God the preserver of man. So, Lil, will you read the golden text, please?
Oh, love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful.
Thank you. Now, I've given this before, but I find it every time we do this to look up that word preserve. Think about what God is doing. This, of course, is from the 1828 dictionary. To keep or save from injury or destruction. To defend from evil. To uphold. To sustain. To save from decay. To keep in a sound state. To keep or defend from corruption. As to preserve youth from vice. So, well, that last statement really got to me. Let's work with that, to know. And Mrs. Eddie's saying God is our preserver. God is the one that does all these things. We don't need to turn anywhere else. It's God. So let us remember God is doing all these things for ourselves and for everyone everywhere. And also to know, because there would seem to be an attack on our youth, that God is preserving our youth from vice or from anything ungodly. Know it and work with it, because it's the truth. By knowing it and working with it, we can put it into operation.
And that's what it means to be faithful. Because there is something we have to do. Yes. We have to be faithful.
And so that leads us into Linda and Parson Forum.
Want me to go first? I looked up the faithful, and I just liked it said firm adherence to truth and duties of religion. And rather than thinking of duties to religion, I thought of it more as our duty to our God, our leader, and mankind. And I was very grateful for this lesson on the faithful and God's protection. I found a quote that I thought was really beautiful from Christmas Tide. What I liked about it was Mrs. Eddy said, "The antagonistic spirit of evil is still abroad, but the greater spirit of Christ is also abroad, risen from the grave clothes of tradition and the cave of ignorance." And He went on to say, let the sentinels of Zion's watchtower shout once again, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. And I just found that so encouraging and inspiring. I felt it fit right in with the lesson.
Thank you. It is. It's interesting because when I was praying about what we should read on our Christmas Eve service from Mrs. Eddy, that's what I turned to, Christmas Tide, in that beautiful quote from her. So yes, the Spirit of Christ is greater, and we must never forget that. We are the Goliath. We are the ones with the power. And I can't tell you how often the alertness to duty has bailed me out of situations when I have begun to think I'm having a problem, and I start thinking about the problem. Because that very moment, I am being made to what?
Obey.
Alertness to duty. I am being made to forget.
Neglect. Obeying. Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. That yanks me out of it. Because if I am indulging in thinking ungodly thoughts, or thinking I've got a problem, or something's not right, or whatever, I don't have enough supply, I am going off on a tangent, and I am being made to forget or neglect my duty to God, my leader, and to mankind. And that's like cold water on my face. It brings me back. Because you are. You're not thinking rightly. You can't help anybody in that state. So these daily duties are a tremendous protection. And we are to work with them that way, not just say them over once or twice in the morning, but apply them during the day. Do you have animosity in the rule for motives and acts? Are you letting personal sense govern you, especially at this Christmas time? Are you being shoved around by personal duties you feel you have to do, but God's not telling you to do it? Lawrence, did you want to?
Oh, no, I like the patterns, what he said about it.
Yes, we're getting to it. Do you have it at hand? You can read it if you do.
Yeah, he's saying that God's preservation of man is conditional. For the Lord preserveth the faithful. This is Psalm 31:23. God preserves man to the extent that man preserves spirit-mindedness from the intrusions of matter-mindedness. Double-mindedness means giving divided attention to mind by entertaining another mind alongside. Practically speaking, the parable of the wheat and tares teaches that mind and mind, small mind, grow together in a relative state of double-mindedness until mind, capital M, is strong enough in me to subdue mind, small mind, entirely, thus bringing about the single-mindedness of loving God, not in part, but in wholeness of heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then he quotes from first edition, progress takes off all shackles and finite yields to the infinite. Advancing to a higher plane of action, thought grows new and rises from the personal to the impersonal, from the mortal to the immortal, which is from the material to the spiritual idea of God. First edition, page 221. I think it's just beautiful. It ties in with what you're saying. I mean, if I'm drifting off into not being grateful for all that God has done and all that, then I'm moving to material-mindedness, not, keeping my spirit-mindedness, which is a condition for the preservation.
Thank you. Mrs. Eddy says, and the Bible says, she's quoting the Bible, that this is the strong man that's got to be, tackle him and knock him down and shut him up and punch him out. Okay? Don't let him boss you around and ruin your day. So, and this is why we pray and study in the morning, so we can get handle on this negative mind, fearful mind with a small m, and overcome it with the one and only mind. There's only one. We think we're having these two, but like everything else, it's just the one. And knowing that and claiming that every morning is a great help during your day.
I mean, and it all goes back to, what do I have faith in? Right? Where am I putting my faith? I mean, I love the citation number 4 in Science and Health. I don't know if you wanted to go to that now. But where she talks about faith. One kind of faith trusts one's welfare to others. But the right kind of faith demands self-reliant trustworthiness, including spiritual understanding, and confides all to God. So, when Jesus was here, he said, if ye believe on me, the works that I do, shall ye do also. And what did he mean? A lot of people had faith in him personally. They wanted to anyway. They called him master. They called him good. And whenever they got personal, he rebuked them. There's none good but God. In other words, don't have faith in the person. Have faith in what I am showing you, what I'm teaching you. Have faith in God.
Thank you.
I think
and then
that's
in
also
Citation 6, it says, by interpreting God as a corporeal Savior, but not as the saving principle of divine love, we continue to seek salvation through pardon and not through reform.
Exactly. So, it's good to ask ourselves every day, what do I have faith in? When I start myself in the morning, what do I have faith in? Am I taking this lesson? Am I taking what's in the Bible and Science and Health to heart? Am I growing in my faith in the truth? Or am I clinging to having faith in, when babies have faith in their mother, and eventually they learn to have faith, hopefully, in something impersonal, in God. But
That is what we are to parents, to teach them that. Not to cultivate their faith in a human and tell them what to do when they should do it and all that, but to keep turning them to God, trusting them to God.
that is what preserves them.
I think also if we have faith, or really reminding ourselves often the almightiness, what we are being asked to have faith in. And Kate came to me last week just to list all kinds of things that God has done through the Bible. It was just coming, from Noah's Ark and Moses and just different things. To see, this is something really mighty that we are being asked to have faith in. But if we are fearful, I was reading an article, it says that fear is faith in evil, and then doubt is trust in evil. So, to be peaceful, look at the mightiness of what's here all the time with us.
Yes, that is from Mary Baker Eddy's article, Nearness, because I was studying that this week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is faith in evil. I was always so struck with this. Courage is faith in good. Doubt is trust in evil. Confidence, rightly directed, is reliance, is trust in God, good. So every time you fear, every time you doubt, you are having faith in Satan. Basically, again, this is what woke me up from doing that. All you have to do is think that. Are you expecting the worst? Are you expecting this problem to go on for a long time? Are you expecting never to have a right relationship with Aunt Tilly? Are you expecting, to have a horrible Christmas like usual? That's why we say our expectations from the Lord. Well, you have all this faith in evil, and you're not trusting your Heavenly Father. And you've got to stop, put the brakes on, turn your thought around, start getting it where it should be.
And thank you for bringing up, Florence, the fact that what we should have faith in is all good. It's all powerful. It will never, ever let us down. So why shouldn't we have faith in it? That is why gratitude is essential. Right? When God takes care of us, are we really grateful for the care that He is taking of us? Or do we take it for granted, forget about it? Because it's the state of ingratitude that allows the doubt and the fear to creep in.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. So anytime you are fearful and doubtful, you are ungrateful. They all go together. And that's why Mrs. Eddy said, when she sees a student grateful, what?
She's safe. She knows that they're safe.
She knows they're safe. And I know that too, because when I see someone beginning to drag their heels or not testifying or not expressing gratitude, I know, oops, and they have to be woken up out of it. Thank you. Now, it was in Linda's article or Linda's forum. I want someone to read citation 1 in Science and Health. If people have it out of town, they're welcome to read.
I can read it.
Thank you.
The history of Christianity furnishes sublime proofs of the supporting influence and protecting power bestowed on man by his heavenly Father, omnipotent mind, who gives man faith and understanding, whereby to defend himself, not only from temptation, but from bodily suffering.
I love that. And it goes along with what Florence was just saying. And we are going to end our class today with Hebrews 11, which goes over all the tremendous things that faith has accomplished throughout the Bible. A tremendous chapter. So we have these sublime proofs. And the two things, what are the two things that are bestowed on you?
Faith and understanding.
Supporting influence and protecting power.
Protecting power.
Yes. And the first one, I had this before, but the first one I never got for a long time. Supporting influence. Because how often, you're alone maybe. You don't have any, you live by yourself or something, and you feel like you don't have support. Well, hey, wait a minute. Look at that. Whoops. Hey. Supporting influence. He's right there, and honestly, he's the best support. We talked about you can't look for it in other people. He is supporting you, and he's influencing you in the right direction, to do the right thing, to say the right thing. Don't ever, ever, ever feel you're without a supporting influence. He's holding you up. He's doing all the list of things I read at the beginning. And then the protecting power. And he's bestowing that on you. And then think the omnipotent mind. And then what does he give you? That
faith and understanding.
Yes. Faith.
And you can never be alone. You can never feel lonely.
Not with this.
Not with your consciousness, yeah.
So for the people who say, I don't have any faith, whoops, what does it say? Whoops.
Yeah, I love it. He gives it to you.
He gives it to you. Are you taking it?
Yes.
Yes, are you taking it?
Yes. So you can't, if you say that, that means you've never read Science and Health. Okay? He's giving it to you. And also, No, Florence hears it too. I can't understand this. Whoops. Oh, what's in there? He's giving you faith and understanding. So don't say, if you say you don't have those things, what are you doing to yourself?
Cutting yourself off.
Yes.
You say, I don't want it.
Yes. You're creating a wall that, God, how can God get through? You're declaring this is, again, the negativity. So don't do that to yourself. He is giving you faith and understanding, so accept it. He is a supporting influence and a protecting power. Accept it. Know it's there, and you will be doing tremendous things, just like it was in the Bible in Mrs. Eddy's time and Christ Jesus' time. And then you can defend yourself not only from temptation, all these suggestions come, take you off the path, but what else can you defend yourself from?
Bodily suffering.
Yes. So what ails you, my friend? God is taking care of it. That's such a powerful statement. Now, Fairley wrote this lesson, and it's beautiful because I don't think we can have enough on faith. We all wonderful thing to think about and talk about. So,
this is the bodily suffering and from temptation. It made me think of the beast and the false prophet, because I think this is what Eustace talks about, like that. Those two that are given authority, so-called, over us by the hypnotic sense of things.
Thank you. That's why when you're keeping yourself active in this truth and demonstrating it and working these truths, these statements, the mesmeric sense can't come over you. And remember, if you are having suffering in any way, it's some form of mesmerism. You know, Carpenter talks about seasickness, S-E-E sickness, because, well, sometimes maybe you're not experiencing it, but what?
You see someone else.
Yeah, you see it in someone else, and then you invite it.
Right. So don't go there. Remember, never the truth. Everyone is held perfect in God right now.
I just want to say quickly, the supporting influence and protective power, that is coming to this church and learning about spiritual sense and all of this. When I drive from home to church or back again, there are different ways that I can take, and I pray about which way to take. And I always feel like this is the one I'll take today, and I take that, and it always goes well. So when he influences me to do that, he protects me along the way. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you.
And he also always shows me something like really beautiful, like a fox running across the road or something. So
Yes.
Grateful for that.
And, a hymn that I love, number 115. Holy Father, thou hast taught us we should live to thee alone. Year by year thy hand has brought us on through dangers oft unknown. So, by listening to God and following him, you never really know what dangers you've avoided. When we do our watches, we don't ever really know sometimes the dangers we've avoided. So think of that hymn and remember and listen. And that's why the ingratitude is so
Wicked.
wicked, yes, unconscionable. In fact, you wake up in the morning. In fact, most of us here have a roof over our heads. We have something to put on. We have something to eat. Are you grateful? Or do you just take it all for granted? It's your just dues. Thank God. And as Jeremy said, thank God for the little fox that runs across the road and for the beautiful trees. And just thank God. And when you're in the car, sing hymns. In citation 7, Sharon?
In Egypt, It was mine which saved the Israelites from belief in the plague. In the wilderness, streams flowed from the rock, and manna fell from the sky. The Israelites looked upon the brazen serpent and straightway believed that they were healed of the poisonous stings of vipers. In national prosperity, miracles attended the successes of the Hebrews, but when they departed from the true idea, their demoralization began.
Okay. Now here's a list that Florence was talking about, all the wonderful things, the incredible things that were going on. We have them going on today, if you have the eyes to see them, and the gratitude to appreciate them, and then the wisdom and love of God to thank Him for it. But when we don't, either individually or collectively, and this is what we were talking about yesterday, the beast, the red dragon, when they departed from the true idea, when they were whining and complaining, their demoralization began. And it will here too. It already is. So, what is the price of liberty? What is that quote? And it's not Jefferson. He is quoted as it. The price of liberty is what? Oh my goodness.
Eternal vigilance?
Yes, yes, eternal vigilance. Are you grateful that you get up in a country where you have freedom? You can go to what church you want to. You can say anything you really want to. So far, I don't know, it's beginning to get curbed in social media, but we have a freedom. Are you grateful for it? Are you grateful for the sacrifices that went to preserve it, that we could get it in the first place? The founding fathers who now get maligned for various reasons. Are you grateful for our Constitution? Are you grateful that America was the birthplace of Christian Science? Well, let's be grateful, because if you didn't have it, it would be boo-hoo-hoo, and I'd be the first one boo-hooing, because I am grateful.
It would be the Dark Ages.
It would be. And in our gratitude, we show it by how we act, what we do, what we say, and how we live. Very, very sobering, that last line. All right, now I want to go back to the most beautiful, well, one of the most beautiful Psalms, which is in our responsive reading, 121. Who would like to read it?
I'll read it. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore.
Beautiful. Anyone want to comment? I know Barbara and Mike wrote about the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. They'd like to comment. Well, Barbara found that thy shade upon thy right hand, that is always present with thee, or as the Jewish Arab renders it, closer than thy shadow, at or from thy right hand. The common sense. Anyway, it's the closeness of God. And I have read, and this is the Amplified Version, that the right side is the side not carrying the shield. So what does that mean?
Protecting your own.
The side that has the sword, the protection.
Yes, that's true. Side that has the sword, but also the side without the shield. Side. What were you saying?
Unprotected part.
Unprotected part. Of course, if you have your sword, that's great.
You need both.
Yeah, you need both, and that's why you do. But even if you're feeling unprotected, today we're going to hear the picket song being sung. Many of you know that story about the Confederate soldier on watch duty and feeling danger, and he began to sing, "Jesus, lover of my soul." And what happened? He wasn't shot.
He was saved.
Yes, there was a Union soldier who had his gun poised to shoot him. And because he was in that holy state, praying, he was not shot. And years later, they met. Beautiful story. But that's the protection. That's walking through dangers oft unknown. This is what God gives you. I had a beautiful story. I mean, anytime you travel, you should work with the Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Someone in Europe was asking for help because he had to travel, and there were evidently blizzards. It was going to be terrible. Everyone was warned not to travel, but this was something he needed to do. And I worked with this verse, and also whatever is your duty to do, you can do without harm to yourself. He reported it was surreal because there were no blizzards, and he was like the only one on the train because everyone else had stayed home. But in that case, God protected him, as he always will, again, as we are faithful. We are faithful to him. And then what about the sun shall not smite thee? What do people fear about the sun?
Sunburn, is it?
Yes, sunburn. Other, even more severe things.
And worse, right?
And worse.
Skin cancer.
All over the place. Or heat. Where you're too hot.
Or even some people talk about how the solar flares could affect the electronics on Earth, too.
Thank you. That's a good one. Yes. And if you get into that, and if you think that's what the sun will do, well, you're malpracticing on yourself, on others, and on the sun. I sing that song, "The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night." Keep that in you. It will not smite you. And who is speaking here?
God?
Yeah, God. Now, I'm not in favor of lying in the sun and whatever.
Sun worship and
sun
sunbathing.
worship. Yeah, that's foolishness. That's vanity. But whatever you have to do, again, you can do without harm to yourself, and you don't, because these are the beliefs that everyone tells you all over the place. Don't accept it. The sun shall not smite thee by day. And so what are the beliefs about the moon?
Makes people crazy when it's full.
Lunacy, yeah.
The wolves howling. I know the witches come out on a full moon to malpractice on others. And also, anyone else before I speak? Well, I think it has something to do with menstrual cycles and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because of the water, the tide.
Yes.
More crimes.
Sorry?
More crimes are committed during.
Yep.
I think the whole thing has a nighttime tied with all kinds of stuff, really.
Yes.
night, So, in fact, in the hospital when I used to work, it seemed like it was expected. So at night, all the patients were just crazy, all kinds of things going on. It's really interesting, but they were thinking it, so it happened.
That's what I was going to say about the hospital.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you. So, it shall not smite thee by night. So, imbibe these, be knowing this truth. Because when you entertain all this other stuff, and you're being made to forget or neglect your duty to God, your leader, and mankind, then you become fearful and doubtful, and you are having faith in the wrong thing. And when you keep indulging in that kind of thought, you will believe it to manifest itself. In belief, you are experiencing your own belief. You're having a bad dream that you need to be wakened from. So
I think also, okay.
Why dream the dream was all. Go ahead, Lauren.
No, I'm thinking also when this is like expecting like bad nights. The psalm is saying he slumbers not. I mean, he's not. God is always present, day or night. So,
thank you. It's a beautiful thought. Thank you. Yes, and the day and the night are alike unto thee. So this belief that, and some people feel it once the sun goes down, depressed. That's why I was telling someone that 5 o'clock hour, my mother used to call it the bewitching hour, and it's also, it's when people have happy hours. They go out drinking because I don't know, I can't say that I've ever particularly felt that, but if you start feeling, day's over, night's coming, and all this darkness, not the truth.
I've always thought it was interesting that people seem to go to happy hour because they're not happy.
Right. Well, that's true. And if anyone remembers this, it's a beautiful quote on the calendar today. Not happy, but not unhappy. If you're not happy, what did Big Del Young say? I think this is a quote. Yes.
You couldn't possibly handle error and be unhappy. In fact, unhappiness will indicate that error is not being taken care of.
That's Big Del Young, right?
Yeah.
Did you all hear that? So if you are unhappy, bingo, you have not handled error, and you need to. Don't blame all your circumstances. Blame your fact that you haven't handled it. Mrs. Eddy says, hold thoughts steadfastly to
the good and the true.
Your experience, fortunately, to be talking to you. Thank you, Lil.
And Mrs. Eddy, in talking about beauty, she mentions that that love blazons the night with starry gems. I love that quote.
That is beautiful. And I was telling Gary this, I read recently too, where she said she had to get up during the night because she wanted to make notes. Something was coming to her. And when she looked out the window, she said that the stars were keeping untiring watch over the world. Such a beautiful thought. So think the truth about our stars, our moon, our sun, and stay away from the belief of astrology and all of that. God governs you, our world, and the universe in harmony and peace. It's amazing to look up at the stars.
Yep. And see God.
Is that Mike?
Yes, I was going to say in the beginning of Revelation, it says that the stars are the angels of the churches.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, there's always this beautiful holy interpretation of all things. We must seek those. Think on those things. Think naturally you do, but if you're only taught otherwise. So turn off that switch and listen to, they say, the channel G-O-D.
This psalm makes me think of what sometimes people refer to as a guardian angel.
Thank you. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. So what does that mean? No stumbling, no tripping, no falling, no accidents. None of that goes along with the 91st Psalm. Now bear thy foot against the stone. His angels shall lift thee up with their hands. I always thought, wow. So don't go into that. Don't be worried. I mean, some people worry they're going to fall or trip. But there again, that's having faith in other than God.
That is also understanding that which stands under, and your understanding shall not be obscured or harmed.
Thank you.
Yes, because when you're facing an error, you're being challenged, you should stand and stand firm. You don't turn and run. You don't sidestep. You don't ignore. You don't pretend it's not there. You stand firm. And
Thank
God
you.
will keep you in your place.
It's a good, another interpretation of that. It enables you to stand, not be tripped up. Thank you, Royce and Gary. Good. So, and we must stand. And if we have the confidence in God, not in ourselves, we will be able to stand. We always would say here, stand with principle. Principle will
Stand with you.
Stand with you. And also in the Bible, I love where it says, Psalms, thy righteousness is like the great mountains, thy judgments are a great deep. O Lord, thou preservest man and beast. You know, Mrs. Eddy has said we need to pray for the birds and the animals, and we should. And, you know, many of you do, but you include them in your prayers. God preserves them too. No cruelty to any of God's creatures. Hold them in God's love. Pray all things created by Him. We must have a reverence, respect, and love for them. See them as He made them. Okay, anyone else on anything or Psalm 121?
I had a healing once. I couldn't bear to hear something. I couldn't stand it. I can't stand this. And I went so deaf that I had to look at people's mouths when they talked to understand the words they were saying. And someone said, why don't you have your ears washed out by, a doctor? And I knew that the cause was a false thought, and no way was I going to do any physical thing to heal it. And as I prayed, my ears opened up again.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And, people that get deaf, there usually is a reason that they don't want to hear something. Usually very selective. But they don't want to hear things, so pretty soon they can't hear things. They're shutting somebody out, maybe their wife, or maybe, I don't know. But they're shutting it out, and pretty soon they can't hear. So
That's exactly what happened to me. And Christ's truth showed me what was wrong, and my ears opened up. It was wonderful. But it was quite a while that I stubbornly was trying to resist a move we were supposed to make. I did not want to hear it. I couldn't bear to hear it. I couldn't stand it. And so that was what happened.
Well, thank you. Good.
I think at times it's with the sight, too. What don't you want to see? I've read, what is it that you don't want to see? Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I love about John Morgan's True Vision. He goes into that. He does it in a positive way. How that you see, don't resist seeing what you need to. It's quite thorough. So, all right. Well, I trust now that you all have a greater faith in the Father, God-given, and we will end. Gary will read some selections from Hebrews 11.
Okay. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts. And by it he, being dead, yet speaketh. By faith Enoch was translated, that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased God. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed. And he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down, after they were compassed about 7 days. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again.
I love that. What cannot God do? So, thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.